the Skunk River, which is another battle that we lost to this corporation. And I met with Jessica, and we were on that same page of we have to stop this, and we have to be willing to risk more of ourselves. We have to be willing to sacrifice more of ourselves in order to have more effective results. So Jessica and I brainstormed, and on election night, serendipitously, we lit some matches to some bulldozers, and we shut that construction site down. We're modest in our estimations, but it was at least for a day. I imagine that it was for at least a week when you really dissect everything that has to be done after that. So we saw the effectiveness of that. No one was arrested, no one was hurt, and the machinery which is being used as a weapon against the earth, against ourselves, against our futures, was temporarily put on pause in a legitimate means. So we then lost the Des Moines River, and Jessica and I were not deterred by these defeats. So we began to research what it could cut through steel, because fire just wasn't going to cut it. So we found out that there's a welder that actually cuts through steel, and we learned how to operate that. And we went to these empty valves that are all across this state and throughout North Dakota, South Dakota, and Illinois as well. And we began to pierce through these valves, setting back. I just read some parts of the Energy Transfer Partners financial report of 2016, and they were supposed to be done in March of this year, right? Yeah, we're still in 2017. So we set them back. Oil didn't begin to flow at least until June. And we were only two people taking on this multi-billion-dollar corporation. But we were able to have that effective dent and at least a pause in the danger that this pipeline presents itself right now. So we were only two people, and we were able to do that. And that's a big impact. And it is a lot of personal risk. But when you look at you take a step back and you look at what is at risk by the existence of this pipeline, our personal risk is really inconsequential to at least my personal responsibility that I feel towards those kids that I left. So it's an effective means. It's also nonviolent. I've heard people say that it is violent. And really, the idea that taking fire to machinery when no one's around, there's nothing extra to burn, they had already clear cut, unfortunately, and they had already desecrated the earth. So to take fire to metal is not a living being. And the idea that property destruction is somehow violent is an unexamined belief that many of us hold, especially here in the United States. It's unexamined, and if folks were to look at the history of the idea of property and how it has been used as a means to separate, divide, and control people, they could clearly see that no, that unexamined belief is in fact state propaganda. That also needs to be dismantled. We need, as a collective, to examine our beliefs, fact check even, and check our intentions on that. To be able to think critically. We're in a library, we're here to learn all this stuff. We need to think critically instead of these knee-jerk reactions, instead of these tweets or whatever. So property destruction is nonviolent. I never did a thing that was malicious, that was angry, or even to taint the actions that we took. And that's sincere. So for folks that are confused about violence and nonviolence, I ask that you examine those beliefs and you examine your intentions, and we unravel those things that bind us, so that we can move forward effectively, so that we can stop this pipeline, because we still can. There's not a damn reason that we can't, and we need to. We still need to. It's not one more pipeline. It's not we're going to the next pipeline and this pipeline. No, we have to stop this one, and we stop the next one. But we have to have a victory now as a people, because these are our lives. These are our children's lives, more importantly, and we have a responsibility to do that, to make those sacrifices so that others can live peacefully.